from the social media at this particular time. Thank you so much for being here. And again, happy Father's Day to you. We appreciate you being here, no matter if you're watching us live or you catch us later on. We appreciate your presence. The dynamics of intention, practical spiritual living portion of the Sunday experience today. And no matter what it is, we like to remind ourselves that there is an infinite source available to everyone. It is there for each who seek it, no matter their race, gender, or religion. You can believe what you may, but you should know that the source of the universe is also the source of each of us. Therefore, the principle supporting the stars is the principle supporting and available to each of us. As I declare this statement in the first person, I declare it for all. I am open and receptive to this divine living principle. Father, Mother, God, I am grateful. This is my declaration. This is my truth. And I know that as I accept it, so it becomes. And all is well and well indeed. Good morning again. I'm Reverend R. Ken, minister here at Unity of Chicago South, a Beyond Walls New Thought spiritual community. And I welcome you to the experience. Is it a sermon? Is it a class? Is it a lecture? Not exactly. What it is a live online experience where spiritual principles become living practice. It's built for today, built for you, and building together. Today's topic is the first in our new spiritual series, spiritual living series, the dynamics of intention. And it's so appropriate that it would be this on Father's Day, because so many fathers have the intention to do so much better than they may have performed. And hopefully this today experience will kind of help us be better fathers. You know, many people, not just fathers, use the words intention and attention as though they mean the same thing. The fact and the truth of the matter is they do not. See, attention determines what we notice. Intention determines what we are moving toward. You see, one is observation, the other is direction. One is awareness, the other is purpose. Every action begins with an intention. Every conversation, every relationship, every prayer, every decision, whether consciously or unconsciously, intention is always present. I would say to my daughter, and we would have various discussions, and it would be eventually I would come to, you never know what another person's intention is, you see, their intention. So the question is not, do I have intentions? The question is, am I aware of them? Charles Fillmore wrote, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. But before thoughts are held in mind, there is usually an intention that invites them into the mind, invites them there. Intention then becomes the seed. Thought becomes the soil, and action becomes the harvest. So I may speak of intention, but my real intention eventually must come forward as the harvest of my thoughts, as the harvest of my beliefs. See, think about entering a room. You tell yourself, I'm here to listen. I'm here to learn. I'm here to hear. But beneath that thought, there may be another intention. Perhaps I'm here because I want approval, or I want understanding, or I want connection. And it's that deeper intention that often influences our experience more than our stated purpose. I want to be a great father. I want to be a good father. I don't feel real good about myself. And the more I linger on that thought, the more I embrace that thought, the more that I allow that thought to come forth in my mind, no matter how much I push out, I intend to be this good, decent father. That underlying intention must come forward. So it's the intention that I must address if I choose to be what I say that I choose to be. Ernest Holmes says it like this: the law of mind is the law of belief. The law of mind is the law of belief. So my words need to be connected with my intention, and in order for my action to express what I say I want. Mm. See, before belief becomes active, intention most times, many times, often determines where that belief is directed. Hmm. Again, my intention is to be this particular father, this father of upstandingness and goodness and providing. But what is my real intention? What is my real? And that's what we must ask ourselves, those of us that are fathers on this day, no matter what our situation is. We are the greatest fathers. We lack being what we think we should be. It is the intention that drives us to be what we are expressing. What we are expressing. See, life often reflects the intentions that we constantly carry into it. So if I'm feeling less than and I continue to feed the less thanness, it's very difficult for me to be that great, good, upstanding father that I say that I want. So it's my intention that needs to be addressed. My attention can change all that is being expressed in my life. Because when we do that, we can do something called inner alignment. When the intention is with the words that we express, when they're connected, then we're working on developing our inner alignment. And this is where inner alignment becomes so important, because many of us live from reaction. We respond to circumstances. Woe is me. I failed at this. Well, when we stop reacting to events, we allow conditions to be secondary in determining our direction. What was that? See, when we allow the intention and the words to connect, I want to be, I shall be, the thought begins to change. See, intention asks this question: how do I choose to show up before the circumstances begin to speak? What does that mean? I'm going into a situation that I don't really like. I'm going into a circumstance that I really, really don't like. But I have determined that my intention in this day, in this situation, will be one of calmness, no matter what. You see, the intention is set before I even get to whatever is going to happen. As opposed to, it's going to be a terrible situation. I don't like these people. I don't know why I'm going. But when I change the intention, it's not to deal with the situation and the circumstances, it's to deal with what I say that I want in my life. I say I want peace and joy and success, then that's the focus, not the situation. Well, you're asking me to be above the situation. No, I'm saying that that's our only option. Our only option is how do we react to circumstances and situations? That's a choice that each of us makes. So if I want to react different to situations and circumstances, it is not my thinking that just must change. It is also my intention. And when I'm able to change my intention and make it clear, and then a clear direction, the connection to that inner house, then all of a sudden my words and my intention and my actions and my attention are aligned. We call that living from the inner house. Now, this is not just new thought conversation. You can find it in the Gospels. In Matthew, we find, seek ye first the kingdom of God. And metaphysically, this is an invitation to establish an inner alignment before taking outer action. So many people that I know, they work to meditate every morning. And I say they work to do it. In other words, they put things aside so they can get their hour, half hour, 15 minutes, whatever it may be, of meditation. That is a way of working to develop the inner alignment before the actions of the day began to infringe upon our lives. You see, the intention comes first and the action follows. The intention comes first and the actions follow. One of my favorite, if you've been following me, is, of course, Emma Curtis Hopkins, teacher's teacher. And one of the things she would say is that the kingdom of heaven is within you. The kingdom of heaven is within you. Intention is one of the ways we direct ourselves toward that inner kingdom, our inner house. Well, how do we do this? Well, we talked about it a little bit. Before the day even starts, becoming connected to what it is you want. What is your intention for yourself? Not for anyone else, but what is your intention for yourself? And some people read, people meditate. Some people do various things to get themselves in that this is what I want for my life. This is the intention that I have for my life, not the circumstances. Oh, I know I'm going into a situation. I don't like these people. Why do I have to be here? It's overwhelming. It's too early. It's too far, whatever it is. But what is my intention? And that is what determines the success of our lives, not the success of a situation. As we are able to connect intention with our actions and our words, there becomes a smoother transition from event to circumstance throughout the day, from circumstances to event throughout the day. See, before we even have a conversation, we need to set an intention. Before we even pray, set an intention. Before we work, set an intention. And certainly, before responding, set an intention. See, when intention becomes conscious, life becomes more intentional. Oh, are you playing on words here, Rev? When intention becomes conscious, I know what it is I want. I'm working toward it. I do the things that support my intention. then my life becomes more intentional instead of haphazard. Wow. So, as a father, what is my intention? Not what is my words, not the promises I made to someone else, not even the promise you may have made to your offspring, your children. What is your real? What is my real? What is the real intention? Well, once I become this, then I can do that. But I'm talking about that now. I'm telling my child, my spouse, my significant other about that. But I'm really thinking that comes after my intention that's inside of me, the one I keep feeding, the one I keep allowing to grow. And I don't understand why I'm not, because I really mean that. I really love, I really want to support, I really want to give. So why is there a disconnect? It bothers me, right? But the disconnect is because that intention has not connected with the words that we say. And so what we want to do is either stop saying the words or connect the intention with what we really need to say. You say, what does that mean, Reverend? Well, if it's I'm going to do this first, and that's the intention, we have to understand that that's always going to interfere with anything that's in opposition. I'm going to be good. It's going to be change my life. Someone has their mic on. Someone has their mic on. Okay, thank you so much. So, what is today about this Father's Day? What has it been about? It has been about if we feel there's a lack of any type in our fatherhood, let us check what our intention really is, not our words, but what our intention really is. Let us have that quiet conversation with ourselves. What is I really am saying? What is it that I really believe? What is it that I really want? And then work to have an alignment between that intention and our actions. Mhm. We do something here called a soul inquiry. It's supported by science. I won't get into all the different uh, brain studies that have been done to prove it to be true. But as we prepare to close, I really invite you into today's uh, soul inquiry. And you say, well, what is the soul inquiry? The soul inquiry is when we ask a question of ourselves and we don't try to answer it. And we don't try to answer it. We don't try to answer it. Say, well, that sounds a little crazy to want to ask ourselves something and we don't try to answer it. Well, that's the whole purpose of a soul inquiry. Uh, we asked ourselves these things and we want that which is within us to provide the answer. We want to move the ego out of the way and allow that source of us, that spirit within us, to give us the answer. Now, one of the keys about that is that we have to wait. Once we pose the question, we leave it alone and wait. That's what a soul inquiry is. And one of today's soul inquiries there too, what intention am I bringing to my life that I have never fully examined? Wow. There's stuff happening in my life that I know I don't want, but I must be bringing it an intention to allow that to happen in my life. So, what is it that I haven't examined to the point of knowing that it exists and that it's playing out in my life? And leave it. What intention am I bringing to my life that I've never fully examined? I'll allow it to set. And we can even go deeper by asking the question, if I were fully aligned with my highest understanding of myself, what intention would guide my next step? You say, well, I'm not sure what that means, Rev. Can you help me out? If I really understood who and what I am and accepted that, what intention would I start setting? If I really accepted the fact that I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, for example, what intention from that point would guide me? Now, I'm not posing that you asked that particular question, just the question that was asked. If I really fully appreciated me as a person, me as an experience, as a divine experience, what intention would guide my next step? And leave it. The poet James Dillon Freeman wrote, I am not pushed by my problems. I am led by my dreams. Intention asks not what is pushing us, but what is calling us forward. Next week, we'll continue exploring the dynamics of intention as we examine the relationship between intention, attention, and manifesting. But for right now, I ask you to remember, intention is more than wishing. Intention is more than wanting. Intention is more than hoping. And as James Dillon Freeman's poem reminded us, intention is the conscious direction of awareness toward a chosen possibility. And when attention is aligned with the spiritual truth, transformation begins. Because the core of transformation is rooted in the kingdom of heaven. And though you may look here or there, that kingdom of heaven is found within you. The dynamics of intention reminds us that where consciousness goes, in-kind vibrations flow. As many of you know, we take a short pause and then we continue the Sunday experience with Sunday conversation as we explore week 4 of the practical spiritual healing through the teachings of Emmet Fox. I invite those that can to travel into a healing dialogue with us. We'll be back in a few moments. Thank you so much. Welcome to Sunday Conversations. This is the second part of the Sunday experience. The Sunday experience. Say, well, what is the Sunday experience? Is it a class? Is it a talk? Is it a lecture? Not exactly. It's an experience that we invite you to be a part of with us. It's a place where we together explore spiritual possibilities in conscious living and the universal principles that help move us from inspiration into transformation. And it doesn't matter whether you're seeking greater peace or healing or purpose or just spiritual growth, you're invited to join the conversation. Now, there is one or two caveats. Let's speak of the biggest one, that to join the conversation, you must be on the platform with us on our team platform. You can comment on Facebook or YouTube or even Twitch, and we'll do our best to respond to those comments. And even if you're on a platform that is connected to our other stream, we'll speak to those comments when we get them. But if you really want to make this work for you and be a part of building something really special, it's important that you're on the platform with us. And we'll give you that information again a little bit later on how to connect with us by basically texting the word um, Sunday, Sunday to 564 234 2890. That's text the word Sunday to that. And again, that number will come up again later because it's important that we dialogue. It's important that we add the possibility of growth to each other as we share ideas. Sunday Conversations from Unity of Chicago South. Again, to remind you, we are a Beyond Walls New Thought spiritual community, and we stream live from Chicago. And I'm Reverend R. Ken, and I welcome you back. But before we go forward, regardless of if you're on the platform or you're watching this on one of the social media platforms, let's just take a moment and breathe. Just take a moment and take a good breath in. Just hold it for a moment. And think of the breath. That's all. Just think of your breath. The breath that you have just taken in and what that means, life. That breath means life. And now let's give back to life by exhaling. Because as we exhale, we give life to plants. And today we continue our healing series by exploring the work of one of the most, I would say, influential New Thought teachers of the 20th century. And that would be Emmet Fox. Now, I think it's important to understand what he taught, at least what he taught about healing. Fox taught that healing begins with a change in consciousness. Now understand, a change in consciousness. And sometimes people come into metaphysics or New Thought, whichever you call it, and thinking that they hear the words deny, 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 deny. And they say, well, that means that I deny what's really happening around me, what I experience, what my senses are telling me. And it doesn't mean that at all. And unfortunately, some of us, it takes longer to grasp that than others. Some teachers emphasize it in a way that it's easily grasped, and some challenge our ability to grasp it. But he says this, not because we ignore appearances, but or not even deny the experience that we're having, because we refuse to grant conditions the final authority over our lives. Well, this has happened to me, so therefore. No, this has happened. There's no doubt about it. The proof is in the pudding that it's happened. But how am I going to respond to it? And will I give it power, the final authority over my life? One of his most famous statements was, there is no difficulty that enough love will not conquer. Did you notice there that he doesn't begin with conditions? This condition, that condition, this situation, that situation. He begins with consciousness. Consciousness. In one of my classes that I take, one of the participants mentions that on a regular basis, that the fact is consciousness, consciousness, consciousness. And of course, I guess we would call him a mystic. Joel Goldsmith, says that consciousness is what we are. So if that is true, then it's about developing the consciousness that focuses us on what it is we want, whether it be health, prosperity, whatever it may be. And it is not denying our current situation. It is denying that it has power to stop us from refocusing our consciousness to something that we want, something greater. So today's first question, first pondering is, what do you think prevents people from maintaining a healing consciousness when circumstances become difficult? When circumstances become difficult, what do you think? What is it that says, it's tough, it's too tough. I can't hold on to this healing. I can't hold on to getting better. It's just too tough. And anyone that's on the platform, if you would like to answer that or give your opinion, please just unmute yourself, Don't unmic yourself, unmute yourself and just kind of step in. I'll give my little rendition of what I think it is. And of course, others are welcome. But you see, when the challenge is on, we think about the challenge, many of us. And when you're thinking about the challenge, you're short-circuiting consciousness. You say, well, how am I short-circuiting consciousness? Because you have taken your consciousness and said, I want to get better, but I'm thinking about the challenge. I want more, but I'm thinking about the challenge. Because the challenge seems so overpowering, so overwhelming. And then someone comes along and says, there's a scripture for that. And you say, And they say, well, let me just give it to you. It goes something like this: greater is he that is in you. For us, it would be greater is that which is in you than that which you are facing. Wow, that sounds, I don't know if I can make that, because that's what I'm facing. I can see that, but that which is within me, I can't see that. So there's where the challenge comes. That's why it's so difficult, because many times we haven't established that which is within us, a relationship with it. We haven't developed what we call our inner house. Fox often emphasized that our attention strengthens whatever we consciously dwell upon. Now, if you were with us during the practical spiritual living, as we introduce the dynamics of intention, it mentions this. And it also mentions the fact that attention is what we notice. Attention is what we notice. So if we constantly dwell upon the circumstance, then attention is going to place itself there. And it's very difficult for the intention which is within us, to manifest in our lives. So we say, well, let me just stop. Let me move to a different state, a different country. Let me get a new vehicle. Let me change my wardrobe. Those are all attention getters. It is the intention that is within us that follows us, and allows the attention to feed it. What? So we go and we move and we get a new whatever it is, and all of a sudden find ourselves in the same scenario, the same circumstance that we just left. Well, why? Because we didn't change the intention, and our attention was still on outer. Well, I know if I get this new, this different, this other, it's going to change me. It didn't change me. No matter how I tried. Maybe I should have got a different one. See, the intention that's really inside of us continues to play out. And that intention is saying that I haven't been convinced that you want to change me to be something different. But when you do, convince me, believe me, your attention will change. No matter if you have the new or the old, your attention will change because you have convinced me of a different intention. Well, how does that relate to healing, right? Again, when the focus is on the issue or the problem, we feed it energy. We vibrate and we give those vibrations into the situation. We must change our focus, and you know how hard it is for me to say we must. I don't like to do that, but in this case it is. We must change our intention so that the attention outside will meet the inner house. There will be that alignment. I start seeing what I need to see to bring forth what I intend to be. Let's go back to Fox with the love. He says, if you could only love enough, you could be the most powerful person in the world. What do you think that means? What do you think that means? If you could just love enough, you'd be the most powerful person in the world. I would say that he's saying that love conquers all. You may have heard that. Love conquers all, but it's not the emotional love that we're speaking of. It's a spiritual love that conquers all. And it is developing that love of that which is within us that is greater than the world. It is developing a loving relationship there. Not one that has to be verbal, not one that has to have an outfit, not at all, but a peaceful understanding of the greatness within us. Wow. And the final question, and again, you can unmute yourself at any point. How might healing look different? Whatever healing, if we understood it as a transformation of consciousness rather than just a change in circumstances. It would change the intention and attention. That's what I see. Now, earlier on Practical Spiritual Living, we explored intention, as I mentioned. And Fox would likely suggest that healing begins with an intention to align ourselves with a higher spiritual reality rather than limit ourselves with fear or the focus on limitations or appearances. So, Reverend, are you saying that I'm going to heal from this challenge that I have, whatever the challenge is, not by changing circumstances, but by changing consciousness? And by changing consciousness, you mean to investigate what is my real intention and decide what I want my real intention to be and begin to feed that without any concern about the circumstances? Yeah, actually, I'm kind of going with uh, Emmet Fox and saying that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Exactly, exactly, exactly. Well, as you move into the coming week, the question is, what intention could you establish today that would support greater healing in your life? What intention can you generate today that would support greater healing in your life in whatever area of healing is needed? A recognition of the truth of the greatness that you are and the greatness of that which is within you. Well, until we meet again, may your wholeness continue to move into your life experience. And on behalf of the Unity of Chicago South Beyond Walls Spiritual Community, this is Reverend Arcan saying namaste.